there's some people who strive hard and persevere to ensure that our rich cultural heritage remains preserved. In a society where so many people get bogged down when obstacles and challenges come in their way, there exist some courageous men and women who dare to stand up to them and choose to conquer them. Our speaker today is one who can be credited with having achieved both of these through the course of her life. Dr. Ananda Shankar Jayant inhabits the worlds of administration, academics, and arts, straddling them with equal ease. Celebrated as one of India's most eminent and renowned classical dancers, Mrs. Ananda's works of art span mythologies and abstractions, historical chronicles and women's studies, poetry, philosophy, and humor. Harnessing technology for arts, she has conceptualized and created a first of its kind digital arts initiative, a Bharatanatyam practice app that intersects at the crossroads of tradition and technology and enables a traditional art form to ride the technology wave. Having staged a tough fight against cancer while staying affirm to her passion in dance, her struggle and victory over the disease has been an inspiration to hundreds of cancer patients hoping to return to a healthy life. Her optimism and positivity in the face of adverse obstacles is a testimony to her ability to accept life's challenges with an open heart. Mrs. Ananda Shankar is also a sought-after motivational speaker and actively engages with young India on a wide range of topics. Her TED Talk in 2009 has been ranked as one of 12 incredible TED Talks on cancer and is one of the 5 greatest TED Talks by Indians. For her contribution to the field of classical dance, she has had the privilege of being conferred the Padma Shri in 2007 and the Sangeet Natak Academy Puraskar in 2009. She is also an officer of the Indian Railways Traffic Service. Ma'am, it's our privilege to have you here with us today. May I request the EML core, Sharika Mahadevan, to welcome the chief guest with a fruit basket. May I now invite our distinguished speaker for the evening, Mrs. Ananda Shankar Jayant, to deliver her much anticipated talk on the topic, Choreographer to Lead. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for that introduction, much of which I may not deserve. Thank you so much. When Kushal sent me an email inviting me to be part of this evening's EML, extramural lecture, it was exciting because I'm always excited to speak to young India. You are young, of course, though I'd like to believe I am too. And when I was coming here, thinking of what I should say to the engineers of tomorrow, my mind wound back to another engineering marvel. You're all engineering marvels, right? Because you've cracked the IIT, you're in IIT Chennai, and you're on the springboard to life. When I was coming here, I was remembering a trip that I had taken with my family a year or two ago. A trip to the Brihadishwara temple in Tanjavur. Some of you might have been there, some of you haven't. I would exhort you to go there. Now this temple, this Brihadishwara temple, it's called the Big Temple, and it's big. Constructed in 1010 AD, completely of granite, which is not available nearby, quarried from afar. Beautiful temple. And if you see the Vimana, or the central Gopura, that is called the Vimana, the guide was reeling off numbers. He said it's 208 feet, it's 13 stories, the last 6, they're all in squares, the last 6 are tapering squares, on top of it is an 80-ton cupola of granite. All this completed in 10 years, in just a decade. In just 10 years, we have something as exquisite, as magnificent, as enormous, with all the engineering and technological stuff that we find difficult to do today, all happening in just 10 years. And a temple which then went on to become the fulcrum of society of that period, employing thousands of people. It was not just magnitude or the massiveness of the temple that got us completely overawed, but also simultaneously existing along with that magnitude was the beauty and intricacy and delicacy of the sculptures. So on one hand, you had something that is soft and pretty and beautiful, and on the other hand, you had something absolutely magnificent. So as we were, of course, awestruck at the number crunching the guide was doing, and we went around the parikrama, my husband and I looked at each other and said, imagine, this was constructed in 1010 AD, and in 2017, we were there in 2017, we said in 2017, we are still awestruck. We are still awestruck at something that was constructed in 1010 AD. And I asked my husband, and I said, what is it that we will be awestruck in 3017? What is it that you and I will leave for someone to be as awestruck as I was in 2017, to be similarly completely gobsmacked, as I would say, in 3017? What is it that we will leave behind? Or will we still in 3017, whoever we are then, still be completely awestruck by 1010? And we asked ourselves this question, said 10 years they did this? Today's metro also takes longer. And Chennai metro and Hyderabad metros are, they don't finish in 10 years. So today when I was invited to speak at the extramural lecture today, what I see in front of me is the sheer density of extraordinary minds that you all represent. I'm amazed at that density of mind, density of the mind that is occupying this room. Each of you have honed your inner calling and skills, and of course cleared extraordinarily tough entrance exams, to now come here and train and hone and perfect your core competency so that you then get on to the springboard of life and take off like a 100-meter runner. You're doing all this because you wish to make a tangible difference to this planet we all call home. But somewhere, much as I am trying to wrap my mind at the intense spectrum of the multitude of ideas that each and every one of you represent and learn and go forth and share with the world, while I'm still wrapping my mind around that, my mind is also asking another question. Says, do you have the time and space, while you're doing all this wonderful, extraordinary stuff, to also find a little time and space to nurture an alternate calling? To nurture, nourish an alternate calling, a talent, a passion. Let me tell you about my own passion. By now you know it's dance. My passion found me in a temple, a Subramanya Swami temple in Sikandrabad, where an old lady looked at my mother, looked at me and then told my mother, oh, her eyes are very big, you must get her to dance, you must teach her dance. So I look back at it and I say, very market savvy teacher, you hang out in temples and find young students. So this lady had me joining dance class. She was my first guru, Sharda Keshav Rao, at the age of 4. Soon, as is the norm with us dancers, we get medals and prizes and scholarships and stuff. And I was invited on a scholarship from Eton in UK to study Bharatanatyam in Chennai. It used to happen those days. Rukmani Devi Arundale invited me to study dance at Kalakshetra, Chennai. Some of you may be aware of it in your mind space. So at the age of 11, after a summer holiday in Chennai, I don't know why we would do that, come in summer to Chennai, but we had to see our grandmom only in summer. So a summer holiday in Chennai took my mother dragged me to Kalakshetra, and Rukmani Devi said, join. So I went back and told my father, I'm going to be a dancer. So he wrung his hands in dismay. And he said, what happened to your science stream, want to be a doctor, convent school stuff? I said, no, I want to be a dancer. So my father said, okay, go ahead. But will you at least be a 10th class, 11th class school graduate? Will you at least pass your metric? Those days it was called metric. So I promised him. I said, हाँ, metric ho jayega. So I exchanged pinafores and black shoes and black ribbons and no bindi and Our Father Thou Art in Heaven and science and math textbooks to Langavoni, lot of oil in the hair, big bindi, and the Gayatri Mantra and Tate Teita. So from one world, I was thrown into the other world of Kalakshetra, Chennai. It was different, it was interesting, but I was young, I was just 11. So from the age of 11 to 17, I studied in Kalakshetra, went on to do a diploma and postgraduate diploma in Bharatanatyam, but I had made a promise to my dad, you remember? So I went on to do the whole of my metric and pre-university and graduation in commerce through what is now called distance learning correspondence course. I still remember coming to IIT Guindy, it used to be called IIT Guindy. Is it still called that? No, it's called IIT Chennai. So I used to come here to write those distant exams, distant learning exams. And I still remember the deer. That's what I was asking you, where are the deer? So I still remember coming here to write the exams. So I have a long history with this place. So after the age of 17, I went back to Hyderabad and became this young and up and coming dancer, dancing everywhere. And then suddenly I realized that maybe dance was really my life. I was almost ready to make dance because I was happy to sleep dance, eat dance, wake up dance, dance, dance. But then, the outflow of dance, and some of you who are classical artists, I see many nodding their head, the outflow of dance, the outflow is far higher than the inflow and the return on investment that you make as a young and up and coming artist. Why? Because as a classical dancer, you have to pay your orchestra, you have to pay your musicians, you have to pay the lights on, and so on and so forth. And I realized I was dipping into the nest egg of my rather middle class parents. And I said, ye to nahi chalega, I have to do something more. And I decided to go and join a master's course in Osmania University, mainly because I wanted to understand what college life was all about and how to bunk. That was the main reason I went. But then, when I joined the arts college, I realized I had by the time had enough of commerce. I still can't balance a sheet. Try to balance a sheet with correspondence education. It's impossible. My sundries always outshone my balance. Still do. So I said, yeah, commerce is not my cup of tea. And I went and found a department called Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology. How interesting is that? Which had one paper in music and one paper in dance. I said, perfect. So I went on to do a master's. And while I was there doing my MPhil, people in the campus were writing something, some exam. And I said, kya likh rahe ho? What exam are you writing? And they said, we are preparing for the UPSC. I'm like, what is UPSC? I had no clue. Do any of you have a clue? Some of this generation is not taking the exams. The Union Public Service Commission exams that selects the administrators of the country. So I said, acha, so what happens if you write this exam? They said, collector ban jaoge. I said, acha, I don't want to be a ticket collector on a train. But nevertheless, I took the exams for a lark and ended up being selected to join the Indian Railway Traffic Service, becoming the first lady officer of South Central Railway. Even today, there are just a handful of us women in the service. So suddenly, I burst through this very male bastion of the railways, very mustachioed, muscular, and macho. And here was I, early 20s, walking into the control room, and I chose to be in mainline operations. I remember walking into this room, and they ignored me for 2 days. All the men colleagues completely ignored me. They just didn't look at me also. Anyway, they were sirring me for a month. In government, we still say sir and ma'am. So they were saying sir to me for a whole month because they did not know how to deal with a woman officer. But having joined the service, soon I was wrapped in mainline train operations, loading, unloading, control room chaos, hierarchy, bureaucracy, and even accident sites and saving lives. Bureaucracy had me in its magnetic thrall. But during my studying for the exam, my mother, who was so much in the forefront of pushing me to be a dancer, she used to stand at my table and she said, "Don't study, padikade. Don't write the exam. Don't take the UPS." Can you imagine a mom doing that? She did it to me. The reason being, she said, "You will write this exam and I know you'll get through. And you'll sit in some office, you'll ring the bell, some peon will come, you'll send files out, and that'll be the end of your dance. So I don't want you to stop dancing." So I made a promise to her. I will not give up my dance. So coming back, fast forwarding, coming back to the railways, suddenly now I was in this excitement of leading the government, being part of that machinery. And then I had other people coming and telling me, well-meaning colleagues saying, "Now that you've arrived in life, you've made why do you want to still keep dancing? Enough. Why do you want to do this?" But they ran into determined me, and I said, "No. I've made a promise not only to my mother but to myself, and I will do both. I will both dance and I will work for you, and I'll do both well." And that is when began the navigation and the negotiation with your colleagues, with your friends, with your seniors. I would have early, I still do, I have a 6 o'clock morning rehearsal every day. I go to work and then I have classes in the evening. So it's about navigating and negotiating and finding that time space for being able to do what you want to do. And that decision was 30 years ago. I'm only 30, that's another story. But 30 years ago, I took that decision when I joined the service. And I said, I will do both. I will do both dancing and government. And I still do, 30 years later, the decision I took. I still continue to serve in the Indian Railways. I work in the very IT sector of the railways. And I also dance, I teach, and I choreograph. What is this choreography? Choreography is such a dance-related world, right? But to me, choreography is, I want to break it up. What is this choreography? It's when you put your grammar and syntax of your learning and you mount it on a platform of information, of storytelling, and then you make a presentation and you present it in a particular format with all the accoutrements of stage, light, and sound. That becomes what you understand as, "Kya, wow, what choreography." But it rewinds back at many levels. It starts at the basic grammar and syntax of the style and then builds up layer after layer. For a tech person to understand what choreography is, I would put it simply. I would say it is your codes meeting your user interactive, meeting your UI. It is the coding that you do and the UI that you put out that brings back the eyeballs and the clicks for whatever you do. So to me, choreography is not just dance. We end up choreographing our lives in different ways. But coming back to managing two things in my life, I think in retrospect what I had done, now I can say that I had liberated my passion dance from the overwhelming burden of livelihood, from the yoke of making it a single career choice or monetizing it as a single career choice. Somewhere we have come to believe that success equals bank balance, equals career, equals life. That seems to be what is put in our heads, correct? If you're successful, you must have a great bank balance, you must have a great career, and of course, that is what is life. I chose to not make my passion a single monetizable choice. Dennis Waitley, a famous writer, once said that chase your passion, not your pension. But I beg to differ. I will tell you guys that ensure your pension, but don't you dare give up your passion. Don't you dare give it up. I'm a tennis lover. And after the wonderful Wimbledon and the US Open that made us sit up late night, and I said, watching Djokovic and Federer and Serena, of course Serena didn't play very well. Watching them, I said, how wonderful it'll be if my calling and my passion and my career can meet like that and get that kind of paycheck, right? We all would love it, we'd love it. But not all of us may have passions which can fuel that kind of a career. Not many. If you're a bad bathroom singer and that's your passion, you're not going to get much money out of it, right? So I said, unless you're someone like, Sachin Tendulkar or Federer, where you can make your passion a very well-paying career, for most of us, our passions may not have that option. And so we tread many tracks. And that's what I did. I tread the multiple tracks of being a professional government servant and a professional artist. Unfortunately, somewhere in the trajectory of our lives, when we go forward, when we get these wonderful jobs, when we get these wonderful careers, the first thing we sacrifice at the altar of that career is yourself, is your passion, is your uniqueness, is your talent. We sacrifice it in the attempt to align and confirm and bury our uniqueness in sepia-toned memories. We all wish in our lives, and I'm sure you all agree with me, that our lives will matter to someone, somewhere, sometime, somehow. We all wish that, don't we? And to matter like that, and that is a human yearning. That is a yearning not just I have, you have, even the little child will have that. And that yearning can be fulfilled only if you continue to sustain your uniqueness, to sustain the different person you are. Because each of us is like fingerprints. We really are not similar. So what is it that can be the stepping stone to this uniqueness? You're all unique, right? The stepping stone to uniqueness, I believe, is in nurturing your unique talent. Each of us have different talents. Because nurturing your talent, I believe, is the ignition key to a great life. It's an extraordinary ignition key. Because I believe that talent equals passion, equals energy, equals life, equals excellence. They cannot be separated. Because a unique talent helps you step up from the mundane and the routine of everyday life and helps you tap into the wonder of the life that has been given to you. Because I believe it's eminently possible and entirely desirable for you to ensure that you continue chasing that talent that you have been born with, you have been gifted. Because as you chase your core competency and hone it and train it and polish it and make it fantastic in wonderful institutions like this and outside, as you chase your core competency, what your unique talent will give you is not your core competency, but it will give you core strength. And when I say core strength, I make a distinction between your core competency and core strength. Because this unique talent that you have evokes childlike curiosity in you and gives you the boost, I would say, pushes you, inspires you, pushes the learning paradigm, inspiring you to take extraordinary leaps of faith, which is the raison d'etre of innovation and newness that you want to bring to the world. Core strength also does other things. Let me tell you another story. On the 1st of July 2008, returning from a trip overseas, I came home and my husband said, we need to hit the doctor, and a mammogram that I had done came up malignant. So on the 1st of July 2008, I was diagnosed with carcinoma of the breast. Sitting there that day, I heard other words in my doctor's chamber. Said, cancer, stage, grade, etc. Until then, cancer was Padmavati's zodiac sign. Stage is what I danced on. And grade is what I got or didn't get in school. Today, cancer, stage, grade became completely new words to me. So I was angry, I was upset, I was irritated, I was furious. And I told my doctor, I don't want to, let me finish. I have a show coming up in 2 weeks. I have a festival coming up. Let me finish it and come back. He said, you need to get in immediately. So on the way back, I shed copious tears, of course. And then I asked my husband, is this the end of the road? Not so much as in, is this the end of the road of my life? Because that has still not occurred to me. Is this the end of my dance? That was my question. And because I had heard from the doctor that your treatment is 2 years. I'm like, 2 years? You're a dancer, you're out for 3 months, you're dead. So I said, I don't have that time. So he said, no, you take a break and you will take this hiatus. Your treatment is important and you'll be back. But I said, no. So drawing strength from his very positive energy, I dried my tears, pulled up my socks literally and said, I'm going to ride it out. I'm not going to allow cancer to ride me. First affirmation. Second affirmation I made, I said, I will not say why me. We all do that, don't we? We say why me when we don't pass our exams well, you don't get your points. Then you say, hey Bhagwan, ye mere saath hi kyun ho raha hai? Why me? But when you get your big ranks and when you got into IIT, you never said why me. Correct? So I said, I'm not going to say why me. I didn't say why me when I got Padma Shri the previous year. I said, thank you very much. So I've said, I'm not saying why me. Second affirmation. Third affirmation, I said, I am going to treat cancer not as the book of my life, but just as a page in my life. Cancer is just one page in my life and not the book of my life. So with these three, and I said, I'm going to dance through it. Deciding was all very well, but of course I had to go through ups and downs during the treatment. So it was difficult. Surgery and then chemo and then radiation, and losing hair was just one part of it. So I who could dance for 3 years, including a long varnam, some of the dancers here will understand that, couldn't climb stairs. And through it all, I pushed myself. I would go into my studio and rework, start from the grammar, the syntax, the basic teya, teita, teita stuff. But when I stepped into the studio, all this clamor and clutter and melodrama that cancer comes with fell away. The poetry and the music and the philosophy and the very space of dance energized me, and I was able to dance weeks after surgery. I danced through chemo, I danced through radiation, not just in India, all over the world. Now, why am I sharing this story with you? I'm sharing the story with you because my talent, which I made my core strength, became the pathway and the goal for me to ride out something as scary and as difficult as cancer can be. Because this unique gift that I have, I was able to harness its energy, harness its power, harness its gift by ensuring that I don't give up and helping me ride out something as difficult, a roadblock, an obstacle like cancer. Young friends, I believe that the business of life is to challenge us, and therein lies our greatest learning. Believe me, we all will be challenged in different ways. God forbid any of you ever hear the word cancer. But challenge you will be in different ways. Even if you lose your puppy, you can believe you're challenged. We all will be challenged differently. And to ride out that challenge, to ride out that roadblock, to ride out that obstacle, the speed breaker that life will throw at you, what will help you ride it out is when you can handhold your passion, and the passion will help you literally take you on its back and, like a Superman, take you across the challenges. How ready you are to tackle life's challenges will make life that much more wonderful, and the challenge will become a fun game that you will be having with yourself. Because what a talent does, what a core strength does, is it makes you fearless. It helps you make comebacks from setbacks and makes you so fearless, it pulverizes obstacles. But to make that choice of continuing your core strength, you will need to exercise the choice to choose. You will have to make that choice to choose that you want to be there. So it brings me to another question. What is the purpose of existence? I'm not going philosophical, don't worry. What is the purpose of existence is a question that always occurs to all of us. If you're young, if you're old, it'll occur to you. So I fall back on Richard Dawkins, who said, and I quote, "The purpose of existence of every living organism is to contribute to the growth of its species." Right? This is, you can Google Richard Dawkins, you'll get that. And my husband added a rider. As all husbands do, they have to add a rider to everything. So my husband also added a rider. So Jayant added, so let me repeat, the purpose of existence of every living organism is to contribute to the growth of its species. And the rider is, but as human beings, we have the choice of deciding how significant that contribution can be. We have the choice of deciding how significant that contribution can be. The operative word here is choice. So let's explore what this choice is all about. Which part of the body, which part of you decides what choices you make? The mind, right? The mind is what, it's this intangible thing that decides what are the choices you make. So let's decide, let's examine the mind. What is this mind? What is this mind? I think it's a projector. Think of it as a projector. It is a projector throwing the thoughts and the choices as the PowerPoints here, and the screen is your life that is played back to you. Does that make a good allegory of what the mind is? That's exactly what your mind is. The mind is also the place where you can either grow weeds or flowers. The mind is also the place where it can give you sweet or salt water. It can be the ignition key of your car, or it can be the kachra carburetor in the car. It can be the door, or it can be the doorknob which opens the door. It can be your friend or your enemy. It can be poison or nectar. Mind, mind, mind. No? Rajnikant said mind it. So remember Rajnikant. So minding the mind becomes a huge step when we unravel backward into choice. We are all trained to be goal-oriented people, correct? We're all people who go from A to B. We're always saying, okay, after this, we have our list, we go from A to B. But I believe that we are not really A to B, but we are going from B to D. What is this B to D, ma'am? B is birth, we're all born. D is death, we'll all go. And thank God for it. Saying, why are you talking morbid stuff, ma'am? I said, no, I'm telling you facts of life. Glad we'll go. Imagine being stuck here for 400 years with no teeth. Terrible. So, being born and dying is a given. That's the basic of life. But between B and D, we have C. And to me, that stands for choice. We have the imperative, extraordinary, fantastic tool given to human beings, which is the power of choice, which we can exercise from the time you're born till the time you decided to get out. And we have the choice to pursue our unique gifts. We have the choice to train your core strength. And you have the choice to choose what your core strength will be. Navigating intense competition, you have arrived here, and soon after training here with your fantastic training here, you will get started at the starting blocks of your career. Ready to design and change the world. Ready to design and change the world in ways that I, standing here, cannot even imagine. So that you can make this planet a better place, make your home a better place. Training to be the change makers of tomorrow and the cutting edge innovators that the world wants of you, you will be called upon to lead in different ways, in myriad ways. You will be called upon to put your shoulder to tasks that I or my colleagues or my seniors have not even imagined, leave alone thought about. Even as you train to design the outer world, what is it you're doing to choreograph and design who you are? That becomes the most imperative question. You will trade this intense competition of college life and you will exchange it with collaboration, because that is what management is all about. It's about collaborative living and collaborative management. And as you align the daily clamor of deadlines and deliverables and the clutter of collaborative management, it can be rather a clutter, and deal with the highs and lows of life outside the campus, a whisper will begin. Somewhere in a few years, once you start working, a whisper will begin. That whisper will soon become a roar, and the decibel will rise. And that whisper says, the word is legacy. What is his legacy? The dictionary word meaning of legacy is legare, it's a French word, which means to leave behind. It's always associated with what my grandfather left me or didn't leave me, what legacy he left me. But to me, legacy is not that. We're all consumed as human beings. We all want to be remembered. We all want to matter to someone, somewhere, somehow, sometime, right? And that will only happen if you are able to push yourself up to leave a legacy, not just of the material, but of who you are. This word legacy will consume and subsume you as you get into the world outside. To be remembered is life's greatest yearnings. We all want to be remembered. Because I truly believe that we are all here not just to day in and day out, unconsciously living life. I think we're all here with a purpose. We're all here for a reason. Each of us is down here on this planet for a particular reason. Yes, your day-to-day work, family, raising children, all this will consume you. But if you want to leave a legacy, and legacy doesn't mean that is something that you will leave when you leave, but this legacy is something that you will leave at every stage of your life. As a student, you will leave a legacy. How many of your seniors do you remember? Some you will, some you don't. They have left a legacy of learning, of fun, of singing, I don't know. there's some legacy that some people leave behind. So at every level of your life, you will leave a memory, you will leave a remembrance, you will leave a legacy. You leave the flavor of who you are with the people behind you. At every layer. And to nurture that legacy, it is not something that you get at the end of your career, it is something that you build. And to nurture that legacy, to bring back core strength, what you will need to do is to nurture, nurture your unique talent. That unique talent will be the trick, the key, I would say, to choreographing who you are. Today, innovation, disruption are the key words. So how can we choreograph who we are inside? When I say choreograph, I'm saying design, choreograph, they're all words. How can I refashion who I am, how I think, how I work, to decide how my world outside will happen? So what can we do? The first thing I would believe is to grow into the role model you think you are. We all think we are role models, right? But are we really? Are we really the role models we think we are? The first thing would be to grow into it. The second thing is to grow into the role model you wish to be. And the third is to grow into the role model you can be. So as you design your outer world, it's time for you to learn to tweak and clean up your inner space. And it's time to actualize thinking differently. It's time to actualize how you think differently, how you believe. Because belief, my dear friends, believe me, triggers the power to act. A belief in yourself or an idea becomes the fundamental truth of how you will fashion your outer world, and that will in turn decide how your inner world will help you fashion the outer world. Invariably, we all suffer not from fever or anything. We suffer from excuseitis. We are always saying, giving one excuse or the other. I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, my mother doesn't like it, my boyfriend doesn't like it. You know, there's no end to that excuses. We suffer from excuseitis and get that vaccine against excuseitis. And that excuseitis stops you from pursuing your unique talent. It's that excuseitis that you definitely need a proper vaccine for. That will help you. If you pull back from that, you'll realize, oh my God, I have enough time and space and energy to pursue my unique talent. And that decision comes from the projector that we discussed, the mind. And what is the mind? The mind is a servant of belief. You believe whatever and the mind will deliver. The mind is a good pizza boy. Okay, you believe success, it will deliver success to you. You believe failure, that too will be yours. It is not something from outside that is happening. As young students, you will have ups and downs in your marks and your sheet. I don't know in the way you're marked, but that's okay. The belief that you have in yourself will make the shift of everything outside you. Because I believe that belief is a thermostat of accomplishment. You believe in something, that becomes a thermostat of all your accomplishments. I believed that I could dance through cancer, and I did it. It's just a belief. Of course and that belief drove the whole family, the doctors. I used to argue with my doctors. I said, no, if chemo date is tomorrow, I'll say, no, I have a show tomorrow, can we do it day after? So it was like that. It was that belief helped me to even reschedule my treatment days. Train the mind to play for you and not against you. Our mind can really play against us, believe me. It's a monkey there. Real manamoru korangu. It's a real monkey in the head. Jumping all over the place. How often do you repeat the positive as much as you recall the negative? Just ask yourself these questions. Oh my God, you know, she didn't look at me that day. She was so mean. She was so rude. Okay, something has happened between you and your boyfriend, whatever, girlfriend, or your friends. You will remember this line for 10 days, and you'll repeat it to 20 people. What are you doing? You're recalling the negative. You're constantly recalling the negative. On the other hand, if she had, oh, she was so wonderful and she was so sweet with you, that you'll never recall. Look at things not as they are, but as they can be. Stretch your vision. Stretching the bar, stretching the vision, because imagination is everything. And if you're an artist, if you have a passion, if not an artist, any passion, I mean, even if you're a coder and that's your passion, or you're a math person and that's your passion, fair enough. That passion will bring you unadulterated focus. That focus becomes the fulcrum of the mind. That focus becomes the fulcrum of your growth. Then it becomes the fulcrum of how you choreograph your inside, how your mind plays on the outside, and then it winds back to how wonderful an innovator you can be, how you can change the world, and how you can have a great life. So it's all kind of interlinked. Let your ideas not escape you. Invariably, we all have lovely ideas. 99.9, it escapes us. Cultivate it, grow it, act upon it. Remember, even the Mars mission was just an idea, but they acted upon it. Be the path breakers you're meant to be. Be the crusaders and be the path breakers by persisting and persevering on your chosen path, by fashioning your outside world, at the same time designing and choreographing and reworking the inner part of who you are, so that you can lead as the lead dancer or the lead musician of an event. And so I come back to choices. Because unless we make the choice of how we're going to live our outside life, these things won't happen. And when I say choices, I say that in life, we are abreast with a million choices on a daily basis. We decide between idli and cornflakes very well. Do I wear a trouser? Do I wear a sari? We decide very easily. It's very simple. That is the wonder of being human, the power of choice, which we abdicate at the first whiff of a visiting emergency. At the first whiff in a crisis, we abdicate that felicity of the power of choice. We abdicate that facility that is so naturally human. So to actualize our dreams and not to surrender to negativity and narratives is the first step. And that will only stem from making the right choices of life, of behavior, of thoughts, of what you put inside you and what you work outside you. And hence it becomes that much more important to nurture your core strength. And I go back to that. I keep going back to that. Your core strength, your passion, your talent, your uniqueness will become that big springboard, big support, big envelope, big shawl, you can call it. Whatever you want to call it. You can put whatever name you want. It embraces you. It uplifts you. Because, as I said, it fuels courage. It pulverizes obstacles and helps you make comebacks from setbacks. You will have setbacks professionally. You will have setbacks. But how you handhold yourself and ride it out, how you ride out your challenge makes the difference between you and someone else who's not making that success. Because you owe it to yourself. You have no business in letting this life not rise to its complete fruition. All you need to do is exercise the choice to choose. Because when you choose, when you make these choices of a unique talent, you are tapping into the creative powers of the universe. You're literally like a superconductor. You can tap into that superpowers which people talk about. Because I believe that leadership is a choice we make. Happiness is a choice we make. Success is a choice we make. Don't expect it to come from the outside. Let it happen from within, because that is the truth of life. The truth of life is you from the inside, with your thoughts, with your mind, with your choices, with your talent, with your uniqueness, are painting the life of who you are on the canvas of life outside. We always believe that the life is doing to you. No, you are creating the life. So I always advise youngsters to work from the inside out, the mind from the inside out. Paint the picture you want, decide what you want, choreograph your life, and leadership will follow you. Leadership is something you don't need to aspire for. It will follow you. The minute you make these changes, all these things will follow you. Because all that yearning that you wanted about, oh, I wish I could have been a musician, a dancer after 10 years, will just make you feel very sad. So I exhort you, I plead with you, I force you, and I demand of you, because I'm rather senior, that you will not give up your talent. Pursue it, whatever it be. Nurture it, nourish it, cherish it. It needn't necessarily be an alternate career. If you can, as I did, wonderful. It's possible. But if you don't want it as an alternate career, let it inform you, let it be the buttress and the spine and the brain and everything else of who you are. Let it be your core strength. And I'll conclude by saying a favorite quote of my favorite writer, Wayne Dyer, who said, "Heaven on earth is not a place you must find, but a choice you must make." Thank you very much. You want me to take questions now, or you? Yeah. I think we can hear each other, right? Or you can take this around and I can speak from there, right? No? Yeah, go ahead. The first question is always the slowest, then the rest will. Have I put you to sleep? Dinner time, hungry? Yes. Because of?
The choices you make, like on your family time or work or dance or anything.
No, I think those are choices I made. Yeah, someone asked me before I came here, how did you manage? How are you managing this? I said, I don't cook. So, yeah, you make informed choices of what you want to do and what you can give up, right? So, cooking was first thing I gave up. But what I'm trying to, jokes apart, is finally I think it's how we prioritize our lives. It's about management. For example, if there was there has been times when there has been a train accident, okay? I cannot say, sorry boss, I'm having a program and walk away. At that time I'll have to pull back from the performance. So it's how you prioritize, at what time, what becomes powerful. So there's nothing, and I think we all kind of paint ourselves into wanting to be super everything, especially women, no? I don't know about the guys. We want to be super mom, super wife, super mother-in-law, super hostess, super everything. Sometimes that kills you. There are some times you can give up on a few things, you know. And today we are all in a situation where you can source help. You can outsource many things, like cooking, like I do. So I'm just saying that, you know, there are the many mundane things that you can set aside. And you can come back to it when you're, say for instance, when I'm having a show or something like that. I don't do all that, but if there's a party tomorrow, I'll go and cook, right? So it's how you choreograph your life. I keep coming back to that word. When I'm saying choreograph, if you give me 1 hour, I'll dance for 1 hour. If you say no, you have to finish it in half an hour, I'll choreograph it for half an hour. So it's how you decide. Yeah, makes sense? Yeah. You're all gone to sleep. Go ahead. You want to say something? You were asking me a lot of questions earlier. You can go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am, for that awe-inspiring and motivational lecture of yours. So, I'm a Bharatanatyam dancer myself. So, for budding dancers like us, what is the advice that you would give for us to be successful both in academics and professional life as well as while pursuing our passion?
Just keep at it. Just keep going at it, keep continuing, don't give it up. And if it is not just performance, right? As I said, dance is not just about being just a performer. There are many things you can do with dance, and you'll have to find what else you can do, each to their own. And it is not as though you don't have time. 24 hours is a lot of time, guys. Come on. You know, the amount of time you spend on social media, if you put aside, you'll have enough time to practice. So, so I think you have to make that choice and decide that I will do these things. I will do 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the things that I will focus on life, and then you see how automatically you will find things. You don't have to worry about it. It will fall into place. That's the beauty of life. So just stay the course. The trick is to stay the course, to decide that I make this choice and I will stick to it. Yeah?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ma'am, what like for dancer, what makes you like better dancer? Like learning one particular dance for long time or like learning many dances?
It's a choice again. I studied 2 styles. I do Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi, and so it's a choice you make. Decide what works for you. Sometimes your body is used to trained in a particular way, so you can do that. So there are no hard and fast rules. Some have chosen 2 styles but decided to do only one style, like some of the well-known dancers of Chennai. Some of them have learned Odissi, but they've chosen not to do. Sanjukta Panigrahi, who's no more, she learned Bharatanatyam but went on to do Odissi. So things like that. So those are all personal choices. Not so much, it's not decided by the art form itself, but more like what can you bring to it, what inspires you, what motivates you, makes you happy. So that is it. Yeah? The guys are not asking questions. Yes, go ahead.
Did at any point you felt like giving up your other profession and just concentrate on dance?
Huh. No, because as I said in my talk, I think that is a thought that we have somehow grown up with, that if you're not in something full time, you're useless. Right? That is something that, especially in the art world, they say, "Acha, if you're not a full time dancer, you're no dance." But that's not true, because nobody is a 24/7 dancer or 24/7 musician, right? So, as I said in my talk, the amount of expenditure that is needed for dance is very, very high. So if I'm continuously going to stick to dance, then I'm not going to be able to fund my art, because the inflow is very less. Even today, it's just at my level, it's okay, but at the younger level, it's very pathetic. But then what happens? Then you get frustrated, you get angry, you see your friends walking with the next iPhone 6 or 7 or whatever, and you're frustrated. So it starts eating into, and you make compromises on your art. As I said, if you're a tennis player and you can do both, fantastic. But if you have a passion like classical dance, which may or may not get the kind of returns that you would want, then it's better, I feel, that you find an alternate career to support this. So my railway career supports my dance in so many ways. I don't have to blink. I don't have to compromise. If I don't like a place, I won't dance there. Someone offers you some program which is not of a very good standard, I can say no to it. So I do not, if I don't, so that's what I said. I chose not to make my dance a single monetizable career choice. But if you're able to monetize it and do it at that level, fantastic. Like your, as I said, tennis players or cricket players, fine. But for a dancer, classical dancer, that becomes, it's a difficult journey. And hence I would say that use something else to fund your art. And there are many people are not, it's not necessary you have to just join some government job or an IT company. There are people who fund their dance by teaching. There are people who fund their dance by writing. I mean, there are ways and means. So the idea is not to be frustrated by saying, I have to do this, but I'm not getting anything in return. Because at the end of the day, you need the bank balance also. So yes, I have been lucky, touch wood, to be able to tread 2 tracks. I'm sorry for the railway metaphor, but I do walk on 2 tracks. And it's worked for me. And it's possible. It's not that it's not possible. You're seeing me, 30 years I've been in service, and it's not difficult. Yes, a little bit of negotiation, navigation, a little bit of you will face some backroom chat, you'll face some batchmates will serve you. Those part of territory. Something you can handle. But if your path, if your focus is clear, if your eyesight is clear, if your mind is clear in what you want, everything falls into line. The problem begins when we are not clear. Yeah? Make sense? Yeah, any other question? Take 1 or 2 more and then we can close. You're all shy, I think. You're all shy? I don't think this generation is shy at all. No, no question? You've been nodding your head since then? Okay.
I'm sure that the knowledge you have imparted and the ideas you have shared will continue to inspire us as we move forward. As a mark of our gratitude, may I request the EML core, Kushal Reddy, to felicitate the speaker with a memento. May I also request you, ma'am, to kindly leave us a message in the EML yearbook. We wish to express our heartfelt gratitude to Mrs. Ananda Shankar Jayant for her presence here with us today. I also take this opportunity to thank all those who have supported us in organizing this lecture. I also wish to thank all members of the audience for coming over. Thank you.